Okay guys, this is second question of the topic electrostatic potential energy in an external field. One question we did in the earlier video around 3 or 4 days back. Now we'll do the second question. Please write it down or read it along with me. So what's the question is? It has been observed that electric field in a large region of Earth's atmosphere is directed vertically down at an altitude of 300 meter. The electric field is 60 volt per meter, while at an altitude of 200 meter, the electric field is 100 volt per meter. Now calculate the net amount of charge contained in a cube of 100 meter edge located between 200 meter and 300 meter altitude. I just read it out the question. I am damn sure you didn't understand the question what it is. So let me help you out. I will just make it in a layman language. The question scenario is you are having an Earth's atmosphere. So you are going to draw an Earth surface. So I drew an Earth surface like this. Right, and there are two heights. Okay, and another scenario has been brought up that there is a cube. So I am going to draw a cube. So this is my cube. Sorry guys, it became a rectangle. My bad. Okay, this is a cube guys. Okay, even if it is looking like a cuboid. Anyways, and you are told this side and this side. This is a top and bottom surface. The bottom surface is at a distance of 200 meter from the ground and the top surface is 300 meter. And what is the edge size of the cube? It is 100 meter. This much is given. Right. And what is all given? This 200 meter distance, there is an electric field which is 100 volt per meter. And at a distance of 300 meter, the electric field is 60 volt per meter. This much is given. Right, I hope it is clear. Now, guys, before this, another thing has been taught. What the question is, the electric field is in downward direction. So, I am going to review this. All the electric fields are in downward direction. This much is clear. Right. Now, let's see, whenever there is a cube or a closed surface, which law should come into your mind? That is Gauss law. It's Gauss's law. Right. Now you are asked in this entire scenario, the cube that is placed at a particular height, right? So what will be the net charge inside this cube? Right. Now the scenario you have got, let's go on and let's solve the question. So what is Gauss law? It is phi, right? Flux enclosed in a surface is integral of E dot ds, you know already, that is equal to Q by epsilon naught. This is your Gauss law. Phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught. E dot ds you already know. This much is clear. This dot product I can write it as how? Which form? E ds cos theta integral is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Right. Now, consider this cube. What is the specialty of a cube? It has, if I consider this as a cube, again I am drawing a cube, but I don't know why I am drawing it. Anyways, so this is your top surface, this is your bottom surface, right? And how many side surfaces are there? There are 4 side surfaces. How many? So totally how many sides are there? 6 sides are there. Hope it is clear. So there is bottom, top surface, and there are 4 vertical sides, or you can just say 4 sides. I am going to write it as vertical sides. So yeah, so if I go for this equation, I can split this equation for each side, that is integral bottom EDS cos theta plus integral top part EDS cos theta plus 4 sides are similar and all of them are cube sides, so I can write 4 sides EDS cos theta. This much is clear, is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Right. Now let's move on guys. So what will be the theta for all the sides? Let's consider top surface. This is my top surface. Right. How is the direction of electric field as per the problem? E. Now, what is the direction of a small element if I am considering an area vector? Area vector has to be always drawn outwards. right? So ds direction is in this direction. So what is the angle in the case of top surface? Theta is equal to 180 degree. Yeah. Now again I'm considering bottom condition, right? Again electric field is downward direction. Which direction the ds is? Bottom, right? So alright, so it is, yeah, suppose this one is bottom, right? So the vector will be in this direction. So this is ds vector. So both of them are in the same direction, so theta will be equal to 0 degree. Now third one, that is side, right? This is your side. How is the direction of electric field? In this direction. I'm taking this side, okay? So the direction of area vector is in this direction, ds. What is the angle between these two guys? It is 90 degree. That is theta is equal to 90 degree. You got the idea? Right. Now I'm going to go for this equation. Right? What is here? Bottom EDS cos theta. Bottom case theta is 0 degree. So what is cos 0 degree? It is 1. So it becomes EDS. That's it. Plus integral. Top condition. What is cos theta here? Cos 180 degree. So it becomes EDS cos 180 degrees minus 1 plus cos theta in the four sides. Theta is 90 degree. This much sum becomes what? 0. Cos 90 is 0. That is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So what this becomes? EDS minus EDS. Don't make it as 0. Why? Now let's go back to the question. Because E is different for different heights. For bottom, E is 100 volt per meter, whereas for the top side it is 60 volt per meter, right? So we cannot put it the same value. So we'll make it as E1, and this one is E2, E1 and E2. Right? Now it is easier. Right? Let's make this one DS1 and this one DS2. Right? That is equal to Q by epsilon naught. So what is EDS1? Let's make E1 is constant, DS1 minus E2 integral DS2 is equal to Q by epsilon naught. This much clear? So what is integral of ds? That means I am going to consider ds1. This surface is bottom. That means this surface I am going to consider small area, that is ds. What happens if I integrate it? It becomes this entire bottom surface, right? So what is the bottom surface area? I am going to consider only this piece, okay? This side into this side, a into a, that is a squared. And what is the side's length which is being given? It is 100 meter of a cube, right? Hope it is clear. So this becomes E1 into S1 minus E2 into S2 is equal to Q by epsilon naught. That is equal to E1. That is for bottom. Bottom's electric field is 100. So 100 into S1 becomes a into a square minus E2, that is top surface electric field is 60 volt per meter. 60 into again a square, because it is a cube, all the sides will be same side or same value, that is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Now what happens? A squared is common. 100 minus 60 is equal to Q by epsilon naught. A squared is 100 into 100 into 40 is equal to Q by epsilon naught. Or I can write Q is equal to this 5 10 to the power 5 into 4 into epsilon naught. Now what is the value of epsilon naught, guys? It is 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12. So 0.85 into 10 to the power minus 12. And the answer you will get it as 3.54 into 10 to the power minus 6 coulomb. I hope it is clear. Right. So as you know, this is the chapter's name, electric potential and capacitors. Out of these capacitors we'll be dealing now. That's right. So before we go for capacitors, there is another term which you have to make sure or you have to understand, which is conductors. I'm sure you have seen or heard this word, right? Conductors. And the opposite of conductor is insulator. Okay. So what is a conductor and insulator? Conductor is something which allows the passage of current, and insulator is something which doesn't allow the passage of current. You have learned from your lower classes, right? So now in terms of electrons, what would you say? Conductors are those substances which have free electrons, whereas insulators are those substances which doesn't have free electrons. The electrons or the charge carriers are tightly bound, whereas conductors, it is loosely bound, they can travel throughout. Right, so first we will be dealing with conductors here, and capacitor is a collection of conductor. It's a might have heard about parallel plate capacitors, etc. So parallel plate capacitor is consisting of two parallel plates, and these two parallel plates are obviously conductors. Okay, and in between them they are going to have insulator that we will deal later on. Right, so let's move on with conductors. So guys, this term or this half an hour video or the next part of the video also, it will be purely theory. You have to understand the basic part, then we will go for the numericals. Clear? And sad to say, the entire theory section from now on doesn't have any numerical side. Clear? So now let's move on. Conductors. So what are the characteristics of conductor when it is placed in an external field? That is the first point. What is the characteristics of a conductor when it is placed in an external field? So the first important point, or the first point, is net electrostatic field inside the conductor is 0. Now, that is, it just means that if you consider a conductor, inside it there is no electrostatic field. So what do you mean by electrostatic field? What do you mean by electrode? What do you mean by static? That means it is stationary. So electrostatic field means there the charge is stationary. So what is electric field? The charge is moving, right? I hope you understand what is the difference. Electrostatic field means the charge is stationary, whereas in electric field the charge is moving. I hope you understand the difference, right? So again we are going back to the topic. When you consider a conductor, the net electrostatic field is 0. Now we'll explain it with an example. Suppose you have two conductors. Right, one is positively charged and the other is negatively charged. So what can happen? From positive to negative charge there will be electric field. Right, let's name it EO. That is actually the external electric field, because this is just a conductor, two conductors. Now the main hero, that is another conductor, I'm going to place inside it. Right, what happens in this conductor? It's a neutral material, guys. The conductor without charging is a neutral material. So in this conductor, this is my conductor I have placed here. Initially the plus minus charge was all balanced because they don't require to move, they are stable. Now what happens when they are kept in an external field EO? The charge is negative C, positive here, right? So all the negative charges will be arranged here. Now positive charges of the conductor C is negative charge here, they will be arranging like this, right? Now the electrons or negative charge or protons or the positive charge inside the conductor are segregated or separated by a small distance, right? That means now the segregated or separated charges can generate their own electric field. It's very small. I'm going to draw it again here. This is your negative charges. This is your positive charges. They have separated inside the conductor. They are separated in conductor, and hence they are having a small electric field in this way, right? Let us name that electric field as EI. and I will call this EI internal electric field, or I can say they are induced electric field. Why did I say it is induced? Because natural condition, this conductor didn't have any electric field. When I kept it in the external field, this electric field was induced by the external field. I hope you understood. Right. So what will be the entire scenario's electric field? E net. See, E naught is in this direction, whereas EI is in this direction. So E net will be E naught minus AI. Right. Now, till when does this occur, or what condition now it is going to happen, guys? At some point, right? At some point, there can be, or there can be not, there will be a condition that this external field and this internal field or induced field will become equal. That is, E naught will be equal to EI. Right. Till that condition is occurring or achieved, the electrons will be drifting, the protons will be drifting. Once this condition is achieved, the static equilibrium is achieved. I hope you understood what static equilibrium. What do you mean by static equilibrium? No more further movement of electrons or charges occur. At what condition? When the external electric field is equal to the induced electric field. So when they both become equal, what does the E net becomes? It becomes 0. Right? So what is a major condition for electric field or net electric field in the case of this diagram to become 0? When the external electric field and the induced electric field is 0. Now let's go back to the statement. Net electrostatic field inside the conductor is 0, right? At length, net electrostatic field is 0 inside the conductor. I hope it is clear. Right. Now, it has to be achieved, okay? This is achieved. And for achieving that, the electrons continues to move in one direction and protons continues to another direction. Then only the electrostatic equilibrium is achieved. Every conductor tries to come in an electrostatic equilibrium. Clear? Now, the second point is electrostatic force or electrostatic field is always normal to the surface. To the surface of charged conductor at any point. I hope you didn't clear it or you didn't understand it. The thing is, it is said that if you consider a surface, right, and guys, surface means all the charges will be in surface. Why it is so, I have told you guys, but I will repeat it again also. Right? That is on the surface. It is told by the statement that in this surface, the electrostatic field, that is E, it is not electric field, guys, it is electrostatic field, is always normal to the surface. If I consider this point, E will be in this direction. If I consider this point, E will be in this direction. That is corresponding to the surface, the angle is 90 degree. Now this is a statement. So like previous electric field case also, we'll consider that suppose this angle is not 90 degree. Suppose I'm going to draw a surface like this, and this is the electric field, electrostatic field, and it is not making an angle 90 degree, but say it is making an angle theta. So obviously I can divide it into two parts, that is E cos theta and E sin theta. Right? E sin theta is a perpendicular component. So this is not something which we have to deal. What do you want to prove? That there is only perpendicular component, right? There is only 90 degree. So let's say the problem is this E cos theta. Why should I say it is a problem? See, suppose E cos theta is there. That means there is a horizontal component of what? Electrostatic field. It is a horizontal component of electrostatic field. If there is electrostatic field, so what is Q? Suppose this is having a charge Q, right? There is a charge Q here. There is Q and there is E. That means there is force. And that is force is equal to QE cos theta, right? What do you mean by force? That means this charge is going to move in this direction because of E cos theta. Q into E cos theta means there is a force in this direction. So that means it is nonsense. Suppose your topic is electrostatic field. That means the charge is static. And now you are saying there can be a vector form E and then it can have two components E cos theta and E sin theta. Then E cos theta causes a force. In that sense, due to the force, the charge can never be static. It continues or it moves in any direction it is going on. So this entire topic will become irrelevant, right? So that means E cos theta shouldn't exist. So E cos theta shouldn't exist means E cos theta is equal to 0. In which condition cos theta can be 0? This theta is equal to 90 degree. That means electrostatic field is always making 90 degree with the surface. I hope it is clear. Right. Now we'll go for the third one. Topic. The net charge inside a conductor is 0. That is much more easy because just a moment ago during the first point we told that electrostatic field is 0. That means E is 0 inside a conductor, right? If E is 0, I hope you remember what is Gauss's law. Gauss's law said phi is equal to Q by epsilon naught and this phi is also equal to E dot ds. Now I am saying electrostatic field E is equal to 0. If E is equal to 0, then obviously epsilon naught can never be 0. That means Q is equal to 0. I hope it is clear. Right. Now we'll go for the next topic or the third, I think fourth, right? That is fourth topic. That is in a conductor, charges goes to the surface, or charges is always distributed on the surface, which I have taught earlier. Suppose this is my conductor. We told E is equal to 0, Q is equal to 0. So whenever I give charge to any conductor, it can never exist in the center part or the inner or hollow section, nor it can have electric field. So the entire charge which I give to this sphere or this conductor has to exist on the surface. Hope it is clear. Now the fifth point is we are going to derive an expression for electrostatic field at the surface of a charged conductor. It is electrostatic field at surface of a charged conductor. See guys, these 5 or I think 6 points are there. All of them are very, very important. They are asked as it is for 5 marks in board examination. And it is also required in NEET because some of the questions will require only 30 seconds to solve if you understand the logic of it. Right. Now let's move on. You are asked what is electrostatic field at the surface of a charged conductor. So what is Gauss's law? That is, we require an electrostatic field's equation. What the equation is for a what? A surface, at the surface of a any conductor. So Gauss's law, what does it say? Phi is equal to E dot ds is equal to Q by epsilon naught for any enclosed surface. Right. Now let us consider a surface like this. And I am giving it positive charge. Okay, like this. I am going to consider a small element here. Right. Let's make it a different color. Right. Let us make it as a different color, and this is a small element here. Now this is plus charge, right? So I told you the electrostatic field is 90 degrees, so this outwards in direction. Now, this element is, suppose this element is ds, right? Surface area of this element is ds. So which direction will be ds? It will be also upward direction, right? So in this formula, dot product means I am supposed to write which form? That is E ds cos theta. And I told both of them are in same direction, right? So theta becomes what? 0 degree. So I will write this one as what? So integral E ds only. That is equal to q by epsilon naught. Right. Now, I hope from the previous chapter you remember what surface charge density is. That is amount of charge enclosed per unit area, right? For small area it will be ds. Clear? We are considering a small surface only. So can't I write q is equal to sigma into ds? Of course I can write. Then I'm going to substitute this value here. So it becomes integral ds is equal to sigma ds by epsilon naught. Can I cut out something? ds and ds can be removed. So see, integral can be removed. Why? Because now we are going to consider the entire surface, right? So integral E is equal to sigma epsilon naught. These and all are constant terms, right? So integral E means E itself is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Now you got an expression for a surface. That is the electric field for a conductor, or electric field at the surface of a charged conductor. E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. Sometimes you will be asked in this expression in a different way. Give electrostatic field in terms of surface charge density. Clear? Now we'll go to the last section, electrostatic shielding. But guys, sometimes let me ask another thing. Suppose this surface I have given the charge plus, right? Suppose I am going to give them a negative charge. What happens if I am giving a negative charge? If you give negative charge, then the entire scenario, this in place of plus, it becomes minus. Why? You guys can answer it by yourself. Try to solve it by yourself, because that the theta becomes different. The E will be downwards direction, ds will be in this direction. Take your time, find the answer by yourself. Right, I gave you the answer. Try to achieve how the answer is minus. Try to find it by yourself. Now the last topic is electrostatic shielding. What do you mean by electrostatic shielding? What do you mean by shielding? Protecting it from something, or protecting a thing from outside. This is based, or the examples you have seen in almost all the electronic components. See, in your TV, old TV, I'm not telling about LCD TV or old computers, or let's say a CPU which has motherboard, right? Have you ever thought why so much space in the CPU is vacant? There is a lot of space. Why can't you fill it with something, stuff it with something? But almost all the electronics devices are having a lot of cavities. Why that is happening? Let's see. See, this is your conductor, right? And I'm giving positive charge. Almost all the examples we'll give with positive charge because it is good to draw. Looks good. Anyways, so I am giving cavity inside here. So inside the cavity, what and all I'm sure electric field is 0 and there is no charge. That's why the surface is having charge. Now the answer is sure. Now it is very easy. See, there is no charge in this cavity. There is no electric field in this cavity. So that means I can keep anything inside this cavity. That material will never be affected by any field. Now keep this entire scenario in an external field. I told you guys this entire thing, if you consider the centermost cavity, it doesn't have electric field. In any electric field you keep, it will never have any electrostatic field inside, as well as no charge inside. So if I keep any A, B, C, or any material inside that cavity, it will never be affected by the external field. See, this is your computer's motherboard. It's very important because it's most costly thing, because it is having conductors, capacitors, ICs. I think ICs are, I think it's the most costly thing in that, because that is something which has been programmed. That's why when motherboard goes, you can say data to your entire computer. So anyways, so this is your motherboard. You want to protect it. So obviously you have to keep it in a conductor which is hollow the other side, in this way, and this becomes a chamber like, and this is kept in there, this becomes a chamber, and you have kept this motherboard inside, so that if any electric field is kept or coming across the CPU, it will never affect the motherboard. It is not supposed to be affected. Then you will say, so why does the CPU gets affected? It is heating effect, one of the major reason. The other one, dust. Anyways, and fan doesn't work, so again heating effect. So many reasons are there for shutting down of your CPU. Anyways, let's move on. And again, sorry guys, I forgot to tell you, this entire electrostatic shielding was found by Michael Faraday. I hope you have ever heard of that person. He had no other job, that's why he was finding it. Anyways, so Michael Faraday told that, so it is what he did was he made a cage like this, right, and this bottom surface he insulated, and he gave electrostatic field to the entire thing. So outer surface had shock, I hope understood, but the inner part didn't have any electric field. So that's why he told it is very easy to keep the things safe. The same thing happens when you are inside your home, right? You are sitting in your home, the lightning comes, you are not much affected. I hope it is clear.